All right, let's jump right into it. We're going to deconstruct the recent SSC MTS Shift 2 exam. Now, if you're gearing up for the upcoming exams, or maybe even looking ahead to 2025, what we're about to cover is going to give you a real strategic edge.
If there's one single thing you take away from this entire analysis, it's this sentence right here. And we're about to show you exactly why. This isn't about learning a bunch of new subjects. It's all about mastering the ones you think you already know. Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. We'll look at the core trend, then dive into the actual questions from different sections, history, polity, science, you name it. And at the end, we'll pull it all together into a winning strategy for you. Sound good? Let's get started.
All right, first things first, the big trend. The game has kind of changed. It is no longer enough to just skim the surface of a topic. What we're seeing loud and clear is that they're really testing how deep your understanding goes. It's way beyond just remembering a few headlines. So let's see this in action. We'll kick things off with history and polity, because this is where you can see that shift to deeper knowledge right away. It's super obvious. So they ask this question. Now, most of us, right, we study the big names, the Mauryas, the Guptas, but this is a curveball. It's a huge signal that they're digging into the nitty-gritty of dynastic succession just to see who's really done their homework. And there's your answer. The Vakataka dynasty. See what I mean? This proves you've got to go that one layer deeper. It's not just about the main event, the big empire. It's about the entire timeline, who came before and who came after. Okay, next up. This one might seem pretty familiar, right? The roundtable conferences. But hold on. Look closely at what they're actually asking. This isn't some broad, general question about the event. And this is where it gets super interesting. This shows you their playbook. The topic is a repeat from an earlier shift, but they've tweaked the question. Instead of asking about Congress, they're asking specifically about Gandhi. The answer is the same, sure, but it tests your precision. It's a really clever way to reward people who know the details, not just the headlines. Now, let's switch gears over to polity. And guess what? It's the same story. You know all those famous standard articles that everyone learns by heart? Well, it looks like they're starting to move past those. And boom, here's a perfect example. Article 111. How many people really focus on that one? Not many. This is a classic sign of an exam getting tougher. It's a question designed to filter candidates and find the ones who've gone the extra mile. And here's another one from polity. This is pure factual recall. There's no room for interpretation here. It's not about a concept. You either know the number or you don't. The answer is 84, a hard number. There is absolutely no guessing your way out of this one. It's all about that meticulous, detailed preparation.
Okay, so that was history and polity. Let's move on and see if this pattern holds up in science, geography, and economy. Spoiler alert, it absolutely does.
All right, a question from Indian economic history. This is a pretty fundamental topic, a major milestone for the country. But again, they're not asking for the decade or the era, they want the exact year. Yup, 1948. It's just one of those crucial dates that you've got to have locked away in your memory. Now this next one, this is a huge red flag. A question based on the census, but just look at the level of detail. This is the examiner basically screaming at you that the census isn't some side topic anymore. You have to treat it like a core subject.
So you see, knowing the basics like which state has the highest population, that's just not going to cut it anymore. They're digging into the granular data, like the percentage increase for a specific community. We're talking about a 15% increase here. That's the level of detail we're at now.
Of course, they still mix in some of that classic location-based GK. Things like the Rabalatha station or the Lothal dockyard. This is just straightforward factual recall, testing how wide your static knowledge base really is.
Okay, let's wrap up our question analysis with current affairs and general knowledge. What we find here is a really interesting mix. You have those predictable patterns we've been talking about, but also some really specific trivia. You really need to know a little about a lot and a lot about a little. All right, let's run through these GK questions real quick. We've got stuff on monuments, rivers, authors, sports, the whole shebang. But here's the key takeaway, the pattern you need to spot. Notice the Dakhil Darwaza question? Well, in a previous shift, they asked about the Bulund Darwaza. See? They're basically giving you a hint. Hey, you should probably master famous monuments as a category. Okay, so we've looked at a ton of questions. We've seen the patterns. The big question now is, so what? What does this all mean for your preparation? How do you actually use this information? Well, the strategy is actually pretty clear. You need to focus your time and energy on going deep into those core topics that are proven to show up again and again. Honestly, it is so much better to know 5 topics inside and out than to have a surface level understanding of 20. So here is your action plan, a simple 3-step roadmap. First, prioritize those high-frequency topics. Second, treat the Census 2011 data like it's a major subject in its own right. And third, and this is absolutely crucial, when you review past papers, don't just answer the questions, analyze them. Look for these patterns. That is how you build a study plan that actually works. So we'll leave you with this one final thought to chew on. As you're studying, as you're preparing, just keep asking yourself this question. Because in an exam like this, where pretty much everyone knows the same topics, it's the depth of your knowledge that is going to make all the difference. That's what will set you apart.